We've got breaking news coming straight out of Las Vegas. The Raiders have shocked everyone by bringing back a familiar face, Amari Cooper. Now, before we dive deeper into this story, let me remind you this channel is your home for everything Raiders. So before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Amari Cooper, once drafted by the Raiders back in 2015, is officially back in silver and black. But here's the twist. He's not expected to be the main guy. In fact, many believe he'll be fighting for a wide receiver 3, maybe even 4 role on this roster. Still, the signing is grabbing headlines because it's rare to see a player who once left under shaky circumstances make a return. Remember, Cooper was traded to the Dallas Cowboys in 2018 after things fell apart in Oakland. And now, years later, the Raiders are giving him another shot. It feels almost like bringing back someone who once walked away, but this time, the team hopes he'll play a smaller but valuable role. Now, the big question everyone's asking, what does this mean for the rest of the receiving room? Especially for Jakobi Meyers. Early signs suggest that Cooper's arrival won't push Jakobi out of the picture, but it does add an extra layer of intrigue to the Raiders' offense. Here's the reality. Amari Cooper didn't exactly leave Buffalo on a high note. When the playoffs came around, the Bills didn't trust him enough to keep him on the field. In 2 of those games, he was benched. That raises a huge question. If Cooper couldn't secure a role there, what does it mean now that he's back with the Raiders? The concerns are obvious. He's never been known as a physical blocker. He's had a history of frustrating drops, and injuries have followed him throughout his career. For a Raiders team that's trying to build toughness and competition, the only version of Cooper that makes sense is a healthy, motivated one. Otherwise, this move could backfire quickly. Yes, it's only a 1-year deal, but the message it sends is hard to ignore. This is the same player who once walked away from the Raiders, and now he's returning at a time when Jakobi Meyers, the guy who has done everything right for this team, is reportedly unhappy. That contrast says a lot. Meyers has shown up, put in the work, and been a reliable presence. Cooper? Not so much. So where does that leave us? Most likely, Cooper is heading toward the bottom half of the depth chart. He's not the WR1, not the WR2, and depending on how camp plays out, he could slide even further. After the Raiders announced 18 roster cuts, the wide receiver depth chart looks very different, and the signing of Amari Cooper shakes things up even more. For players like Alex Bachman and Tommy Malone, this could spell the end of their chances. Both were already on the bubble, and Cooper's presence makes their path to the roster much tougher. From the Raiders' perspective, the move seems to be about adding veteran stability. We've seen this front office lean on experienced players before, at linebacker with Jermaine Pratt, and Devin White. The hope might be that Cooper can deliver a late career resurgence of his own. But the real drama hit just hours after the signing. Jakobi Meyers officially requested a trade. That's huge. Meyers has been nothing but reliable, showing up, working hard, and representing what commitment to excellence should look like. To see him ask out on the very same day Cooper arrives, it's a gut punch to Raider Nation. It raises a bigger question about the front office's direction. Are they truly building for long-term success, or are they gambling on quick fixes with veterans who once turned their back on the franchise? For a team built on loyalty and toughness, it's a tough pill to swallow. Jakobi Meyers' trade request is sending shockwaves across the league. Multiple teams are already showing interest, and the Raiders now face a tough decision: move quickly to secure his future in silver and black, or risk losing him altogether. The timing couldn't look worse. Just hours after Meyers made his request, the Raiders signed Amari Cooper. To many, it feels like a bad look. Think about it. Meyers has been loyal, consistent, and committed. He's been everything you'd want in a teammate. And yet, instead of reassuring him, the team brought back a player who once walked away. That's the heart of the issue. Optics. To the outside world, it feels like rewarding the past while ignoring the present. Still, despite the criticism, Raider Nation knows one thing: on game day, if Cooper makes plays, fans will cheer. Winning always speaks louder than anything else. And truthfully, I hope Cooper proves his critics wrong. Nothing would be better for this team than to see him revive his career in Las Vegas. But until then, the spotlight isn't on Amari. It's on Jacoby Myers. Will the Raiders find a way to keep him happy? Or are we watching one of their most important players slip away? Now let's shift to the 18 roster moves the Raiders made today. Earlier, we already covered a few names, but now we've got the full picture of who didn't survive the cut. These decisions were tough, and they'll definitely spark debate among fans. Amari Gaynor was one of the first to go, announcing himself on social media that he'd been waived. Running back Chris Collier also didn't make it, and wideout Kadir Ishmael was moved on from as well. Those were just the first wave of cuts, leaving 14 more names who had to pack their bags. Among them was offensive tackle Parker Clemens, a rookie free agent who struggled to find his footing. Moves like this remind us just how brutal the NFL can be. One day you're chasing your dream in silver and black, the next it's gone. And that's the reality of cut day. Behind every transaction is a player who fought for a spot, and behind every decision is a message about the Raiders' direction. Depth, competition, and commitment to excellence. That's what this roster is being shaped around. The Raiders continued trimming the roster, and while none of the moves were shocking, each one says something about how this team is being built. Jared Hufford, an undrafted lineman out of Iowa State, didn't survive cut day. No surprise there, the Raiders seemed set on carrying around 8 to 10 offensive linemen, so depth had to be trimmed. Wide receiver Marquez Callaway, signed only a couple weeks ago, was also let go. His time in Las Vegas was brief, but it shows how quickly the front office is willing to move on when they don't see long-term value. Then came Philip Dorsett. Not exactly shocking, but still notable. He had chemistry at times in camp, yet couldn't quite cement his spot. For a veteran, this might turn out best for both sides. He could get another shot elsewhere. Colin Johnson, the towering 6'6" wideout, was another cut. His size made him an intriguing option, but the Raiders clearly want more speed and consistency in that receiver room. Linebacker Michael Barrett was also released, a player known for winning at Michigan. On paper, his competitive fire fit what the Raiders wanted, but ultimately, there just wasn't space for him here. And finally, Jalen Smith. He never really looked like a lock for the 53-man roster, but he played tougher than many gave him credit for this preseason. He earned respect, even if it didn't earn him a spot. When the Raiders signed Amari Cooper, it felt similar to when they took a chance on Jalen Smith. A recognizable name, sure, but the real question is, how much does that move actually help you win on Sundays? Time will tell. Now let's talk about some of the other names who didn't survive cut day. Tank Booker Jr., the massive UDFA out of SMU, was one many thought might stick around as insurance on the defensive line. Early in camp, when Christian Wilkins was banged up, Booker actually got some extra reps. But ultimately, the Raiders decided to move on. Kendra Coburn was another name that intrigued me. He had Texas ties, and with Pete Carroll's deep connections to Steve Sarkisian, I thought maybe that gave him an edge. Still, he couldn't quite make the leap onto the 53. UDFA John Joyner was also released. He came in graded as one of the top undrafted signings, but the buzz never really built for him. Instead, it's been Jafari Harvey who's caught more attention and earned a longer look. And then there's the toughest cut for me, Andre Carter. This one stings. Carter, in my eyes, is better than Charles Snowden. The Raiders already have solid run stoppers on the interior, but Carter brought something different. He could get after the quarterback. When you flip on the tape, you see it. To lose that kind of potential pass rush depth hurts, and I'll be watching closely to see if he resurfaces somewhere else. Andre Carter's release feels like a potential misstep. He can rush the quarterback, and with Charles Snowden facing a 3-game suspension for a DUI, passing on Carter could leave a gap in the Raiders' pass rush. If Carter doesn't land on the practice squad, it might end up being a big swing and a miss for the team. Other notable cuts included John Humphrey, the USC cornerback UDFA. He wasn't likely to make the 53, but could be a candidate for the practice squad. Sam Webb, entering his 3rd year, also seems unlikely to stay. Practice squad rules limit how many veteran players a team can carry, and Webb doesn't fit the profile for this season. Hudson Clark, the Arkansas safety, had value mainly on special teams. If he remains with the Raiders, it will likely be for his contributions in that role, rather than as a defensive starter. Today was packed with moves, but the roster isn't finalized yet. With 18 players cut and the offseason drama heating up, the Raiders are still shaping their team heading into the season. Amari Cooper may not be everyone's favorite signing, but he's now part of this team, and Raider Nation will be watching closely to see if he proves his worth on the field. Even with questions and skepticism, one thing is clear. The Silver and Black are committed to building a competitive, tough roster. Some decisions will be debated, some will be celebrated, but all of them send a message about the kind of football the Raiders intend to play this season.